So look at stage 5 of the Tour de France, the longest the riders have to face, 261 kilometres in all. Fecamp-Dunkerque. Well, fairly flat, so it was always going to come down to the sprint. There were a few breaks, it has to be said. Ralph Yarman, one of those. He pushed it for around 150 kilometres in all. And their confirmation of the route the riders were taking. Gotti on top, Simon, the climber, Cipollini, the points leader.
Close wheels here in tandem as Steve Bauer has got Loda with him from MG Techno Gym. These two riders in this main group heading in towards the finish at Dunkirk. We're getting in toward the final few kilometres of this, the longest stage in the race. Steve Bauer, what a gutsy fellow he is. He had a bad patch a couple of seasons ago, but he's come back. He seems to have got his enthusiasm back again. And surely, Stephen, that's as much as anything. It isn't just your physical ability, it's your enthusiasm for the sport. He seems to have got it back again.
He has. If we all, some of us might remember, I'm sure Claude Pickelin will remember anyway, in Rennes in 1989, I think it was, in the World Championships in Belgium. Steve Bauer sprinting with Claude Pickelin for the first place. They cut handlebars, the two of them came down, and Maurice Fondriest won the stage. So everyone will remember that, but that was a near miss for Steve Bauer. Then he had one or two bad seasons, and actually he couldn't even find his team that would take him on about 2 years later. So it was an incredible disaster for the riders with the class of Steve Bauer. Then he went on, he kind of sold himself back into other teams, back into Motorola, and has been doing reasonably well since then, but getting better and better. We would have thought he would have been getting a bit stagnant maybe, and maybe rounding it off a little bit, but he's actually getting better and better. And it's a long time since we've seen Steve Bauer doing such a good early Tour de France.
And there, Jeremy Leblanc looking back down at these two riders who've gone away from the bunch then. That early attack of Yarman then being to nothing. These two now setting off to try and get away. Because the Canadian rider Steve Bauer, I'm just looking at how old he is. June the 12th, 1959 was his birthday. So what makes him 36, is that? Yes, yeah, 36 years of age. Certainly I think he's the oldest man in the race there. LeBlanc looking back to see what's happening further down that main field as these two riders go. Joe Loda's going now because his teammate Yarman has been on the attack all the way through, and so as far as he's concerned, he's now free to have a go with Steve Bauer, who's well at the front. The Motorola team, I was talking to Jamokovic, their team man, this morning, just hadn't quite come together so far. He said the lads are strong, they went into the team time trial, they did a very good ride. It's just that the rest of the riders above them, and particularly Kvish, were in a different planet. They just rode, I mean, the Motorola did right at the limit all the way through. They did a good ride, but everybody went that much faster, and they're just looking now for a chance to get a stage victory as the race moves round the northern side of France. And of course they have got Machia, who's an extremely good climber as well, who seems also to come back into form. He had rather a poor year last year. So the ups and downs of bike racing, the good years, the bad years, and for anybody who's getting a bit fed up with their form, just think of someone like Steve Bauer that's fought his way back, and here he is then in the Tour de France.
As you see here, all the sprinters teams are up there riding at the moment. The Gilles Spalin team are up there with Bontempi. We just saw a minute ago, we see the yellow hats there in the background, the blue with Mercatano Uno for Cipollini. We see him here, Cipollini lining about 6th place back on the wheels, and we saw Indurain on the left-hand side as well, being brought through by one of his teammates. Of course, the reason being is that nobody wants to be nobody wants to have what happened to them happen to like happened to Jalibert yesterday happen to them.
And there he is, Steve Bauer on the front, who, those who watched our coverage of the Paris-Roubaix back in 1990, yes, we were on air in those days in Eurosport, when he got pipped into 2nd place by just a tire's width. Steve Bauer now trying to get himself a victory, but here the Polti team on the front, trying to look after the interests of Lombardi, who was delayed yesterday. Quite a lot of riders. Let's look what happened yesterday. Baldato, I mentioned earlier on, with 33 kilometres to go, now retired from the race because he had a very bad cut across the front of his face. Fecamp also has got a bad
Actually,
left
Baldato
knee.
they've got 12 stitches in his face. So. 12 stitches he got.
12 stitches?
Yeah,
Oh.
across the top of his lip.
Yeah, I know.
Plus another 4 stitches here and there in his face. He was very, very badly marked.
Dylan Manzoni said he was very bad, so no wonder he's retired today. Manzoni's also got bad trouble with his left knee. Mannion actually is suffering with his stomach, and he's off the back at the moment. And Rodriguez also got trouble with his knee, so that's a sort of rundown on some of the riders. Politano has got a problem with his elbow, his ankle, his ankle's gone as well, and his thigh, so he's in all trouble. Talk about the sick and afflicted that we've got in this race. And the riders left now, 177 left from the 189 that started in this race. So we lost about 12 riders so far, and in fact with 2 more have gone today, Baldato and Nilsson to the best of our knowledge, but there may be some more, of course, climbing up towards the end. The speed is so high. There, Abdul Jafarov in this little group at the moment, hoping to get the stage victory for Novell. The yellow jersey of Gotti, and looking through there, the pink jersey of Onse. Must be relieved a bit today. The pressure isn't on them, is it, to ride like they've been riding the last few days?
Well, they're only delighted, I think, because they, of course, are. They have the yellow jersey. They're very happy with it, I think, but now they must wait now to the mountains now for Zule. I can see Zule doing a reasonably good time trial on Sunday, but I cannot really see him beating Ingeran. But then Zule, I think, has a good chance of doing something in the mountains. So the Onse team are going exceptionally well at the moment, can defend on any kind of territory. But I'm sure what they're doing now is waiting and buying their time until the mountains comes along, and hoping that Jelly Bear will do a really good ride in the next day or two, maybe trying to win a stage or two again. And why not, with the bonus that are going around, take the yellow jersey back again.
De Klerk at the back, a man challenging early on for the Kingdom Mountains jersey. The Kingdom Mountains jersey now having changed shoulders yet again. It's gone over to Konishev, the rider from the Ake team who took the silver medal in the World Championships a few years ago, just pipping Sean Kelly to 3rd spot when he came in behind Greg LeMond. Greg LeMond first, Konishev second, and Sean Kelly in 3rd spot. Well, Konishev it has that on these 4 category climbs we had today, collected enough points to take the polka dot jersey. As far as we know, the first Russian ever to take the polka dot jersey, as he was also Konishev, the first Russian ever to win a stage in the Tour de France. Just shows you how international this great race is becoming now, as you look at the colourful string of riders travelling along here at well over 30 miles an hour, around 35 miles an hour, and Bar Loader, they gap 20 seconds. Early on we had a breakaway of Ralph Jarman. It went up to 2 minutes and 28 seconds. He got absorbed just down the road, and this is no man's land as far as these 2 riders are concerned. Certainly got the wind behind, and look at the speed of this group. They can see by the stationary bridge and the speed that those riders are going there, they are motoring some.
Well, they're going very, very fast. They still have this 3/4 tailwind, so I think they're going to be. They've been increasing their speed all the way in, so I think they're going to finish up over 3/4 of an hour ahead of schedule, which is not bad for a 261-kilometre stage.
They're heading in then towards Dunkirk, and of course the great place where the British went back over to England when the early part of the Second World War meant they had to be evacuated, and that really was part of amazing history, all those little boats that came across here. And there we are on the Canal de la Haute Colme, heading in towards the town of Dunkirk at the moment. Out here you can of course go along and see the formidable concrete coastal defences that were built to repel the Allied invasion, because the Wehrmacht thought that they were going to actually come across this bit of land, and in fact the Allies went down to Normandy and landed there, much to the surprise of everybody else, and they stayed trying to defend Dunkirk for an awful long time before they realised that the big push had come from Normandy, so Dunkirk didn't get the attack, frontal attack that was expected. It's also seen lots of battles way back in the 1418 war as well, so it's been a battleground in more ways than one, and let's hope we don't have the blood and guts we saw yesterday flying all over the place when these lads came crashing down on that sprint run in toward the finish. Remember, these are professional cyclists. They earn their money racing their bicycles, and if you come down and you injure yourself, then you can be out of action. They've got their own contracts anyway, but of course you're not in with a shout for the money that can be won in the Tour de France, and of course the great disappointment of not finishing this race. Everybody who starts the race, even if they feel trials and tribulations and butterflies in the stomach at the start, think, God, I've got to race for 3 weeks. They all want to finish, and nobody wants to be brought down. That's a lovely sight, this long arrowhead led by Gotti's team, the Gabis team, who really are putting on the pressure now to make sure that nobody can challenge that lead at the moment. Those sprint bonuses, certainly I don't think they'll go to any of his closest contestants. That's why they've got to keep this lot nice and closely packed together.
But apart from the financial gain, and the publicity that can be gained from riding the Tour de France. The riders, when they have finished the Tour de France, they have a different form and different condition than somebody that hasn't ridden the Tour de France. So with that, of course, helps them right through the end of the season, through the World Championships, and through all the end of season classics now. So somebody that is knocked off in Tour de France that cannot finish it, or only gets halfway through it, for example, wouldn't have the same endurance or stamina as someone that has finished, and he will find it much more difficult for training and to attain a higher level of condition for the end of the season. I see the Nuffel team here, they're having a go. The wind is blowing from the left here. Are they going for the sprint here? Yeah.
The interesting thing, of course, is that to go for this sprint along here, just only 2 seconds bonus to be got for there, and that looked a bit like Abdul Jafrov. I'm trying to see on our screen, which isn't very good. He's saying, what's going on? Because it looks like Moncassin was also going with him out of his own team, and I don't quite understand. Yes, Abdul Jafrov is waving his hands at Moncassin. Well, he's got I think probably of a green jersey competition, Abdul Jafrov must be the one who's got more chance than Moncassin to go for this one. His man's leading, and looks over the other way here. Abdul Jafrov cuts inside him, and he starts to go for him.
But I think Moncassin, like as I was saying, he's come from around here, so he probably got a little bit carried away by the crowds maybe shouting for him, because it's difficult to be second when you can be first in your own hometown, in one of your own, in your own region.
Well, Abdul, here we are now. That's give you confirmation then that Abdul Jafrov did get it, got himself a couple of points and 2 seconds. And I hope our graphics man runs the results of the rest of the sprint so we can actually see the totaling points at the moment. The sprint we had at Le Bois just before he came on air, Abdul Jafrov got that one just ahead of Cipollini, with Jalabert in third spot. So Abdul Jafrov picked up 6 seconds and some more points towards the green jersey. What he's going for, of course, is that this morning in the green jersey, Cipollini and Abdul Jafrov had both got exactly the same points, 74 points each. And so Abdul and Cipollini have had their own little dig so far, and in that bunch somewhere is the green jersey of Cipollini. But Abdul Jafrov has been getting more points than Cipollini so far. So technically Abdul Jafrov has gone back into the green jersey. But knowing Cipollini, I think he's more interested in winning the overall sprint at the end of the day, because there's 20 points versus the 12 for second and 8. So he could get 8 points extra. So why not let Abdul get a few points here? But still, it could be equal on points. Abdul's got 6, 8 according to my calculation. I haven't got the first sprint result yet. It never came up on my computer. But it could be then that these two could still be tying if Abdul gets into second place and Cipollini gets first at the end of the sprint. So we're going to have an interesting sprint for the green jersey as well as the results here at Dunkirk.
Well, yesterday when I spoke to Cipollini, he said that the green jersey didn't really interest him. He wanted if it came, but his priority was to finish the Tour de France, because he's never actually finished a major tour before. So what he wants to do is finish the Tour de France, try and get a couple of stated wins if he can. But the green jersey comes after all that, well and good, but it wasn't going to be his priority. Maybe that's why he wasn't really contesting the sprint there today. Possibly in the last week, if he's still in contention for the green jersey, then he will contest the sprints. But for the moment, we're still only in the 4th day of the tour. He still has a fair bit of points, so he's not as if he's losing the whole thing. But he knows from past experience that if he goes for all the sprints, he's taking a lot out of himself. He's jeopardising himself by doing it, but not being able maybe to be in there in the final shake-up, and also using up energy, which he might need to help him get over some of the mounts, because Cipollini is a very, very big guy, and he does, at any cost, he wants to win, he wants to be able to finish the Tour de France this year.
Well, Abdul Jafrov, we know he's won the green jersey in the past. He can get up the hills. He just drags his body over the top. He suffers like the rest of them, but he suffers even more so being a sprinter. And I think he'd like to get that green jersey. And Jalabert must now have to think after that sprint yesterday. I can never understand, Stephen, yesterday why Jalabert was trying to contest that sprint finish when he got the yellow jersey on his shoulders and looking to try and perhaps also go for the green jersey as well. But that was history yesterday. Jalabert lost the yellow jersey in attempting to win the stage and get some extra bonus. The last sprint now confirmed, Bar, Lode and Abdul Jafrov, and the gap at 14 seconds. The confirmation then at 14 seconds after 233 kilometres of racing in this, the stage 5 of the Tour de France from Fecamp-Dunkerque, covering 261 kilometres a day. That's the longest stage of the race. Yarman it was that set the whole race alight when he went away early on halfway through the race, and at one time he had a lead of 2 minutes and 28 seconds, but he was swallowed up, and then these two riders dashed off into the attack. And on the climbs we've had so far today, they were only sort of rolling 4th categories. We had 4 of them. Konashev has collected enough points to take the King of the Mountains jersey. I keep repeating these, by the way, so if you're at home listening to it on the afternoon or recording it and listening to this evening is because we're going to do our usual roundup in the evening and our piece next day, and we'd like to make sure that everybody who listens to our program later on gets all the facts, and they can sit here and get some idea of what's going on throughout the race when it's cut down to a 1-hour program. A bit of technical information for you back at home as we're sitting here at the finish line in Dunkirk. The sun has come out now, the wind is very strong straight down the finishing straight, and it's got somewhat better the conditions. This morning it was forecast to be around about 23, 24 degrees, but the overcast clouds meant the sun didn't come through for quite a bit. A nice little shot of the Mavic company there, and we're talking a lot about those Sachs people, how they were concerned about the bike manufacturers not fitting their equipment. Well, Mavic really have looked after the very upper end of the racing market, as Campagnolo have done as well, and specialised in that particular area. Sachs have tried to cover all parts of the market, including the massive bread and butter mountain bike market, which has really boomed the bicycle business somewhat. But we wish Sachs all the best in the future. That little problem they had this morning with the press people and so on, I think now will be resolved, and we look forward to the future of the European cycling. Certainly more and more bikes are being bought, more and more people are riding bicycles, and that means good for all the industry provided they make the right products at the right time that the market requires, and they market it too in a flamboyant way that gets people demanding that sort of product.
Well, Sachs, of course, for anybody, only the old-timers, is of course Furet and Maillard. It isn't just a new name that's coming to market. It's Sachs, Furet, Maillard. So people might know Mallard from years ago, or the same time as Furet.
That is a trouble chain, though, because Mercedes is still, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best chain. They're part of the group, you see. So this is the problem. You get a group, you put it together. Furet was at one time, when you had a bike, you had to have a Furet gear on it, you see.
Yeah.
And Maillard and all these individual companies were great. When they welded them together, half the trouble, as you do when you weld companies together, I've been through it myself when the old days when TI merged with Raleigh, and all those brands, Philips, Hercules, BSA and so on, were all pulled together, that in welding brands together, you're not certain which brand to promote, and actually you fall between the cracks if you're not careful. Where if you've got one brand to promote and you go at it systematically, and you do have the advantage, for instance, that the Japanese and Taiwanese manufacturers have had of the American market, which is 250 million people, and prepared to take on something new. I mean, what we do have in Europe, of course, is a market where people are entrenched in their views. They don't want to change unless they're forced to do, and whereas the Americans take on all new things, and of course the Far Eastern people bimbling along with all these new products have been going in there, and we're all waking up in Europe now. But I'm glad we're coming back. We are getting the components, we are getting some decent bikes out now, and we've got the ability here, we've got the technology, we've got the people, we've got the workforce, and the labour rates are down now. We're competitive in Europe, and we've just got to make sure that the market respects that, and that we really go and market it out there to the people, so we say, yes, buy this product, not that product, not because it's European, but because it's better. I'm lecturing, I'm sorry about this in the midst of a cycle race, Steve, but it's blown up to down the Tour de France, and I'm on my high horse about this. I know that people write the cycling magazines about it, but I've got a big gut feeling about this. I respect the big brand names in Europe, and they're all going to come out the end of it. We're all going to progress forward, but we've just got to keep sticking into it. There's nobody owes anybody anything in this business. You've got to go out there and work for it. Lecture over.
Right.
That's me banned from Eurosport forever. Sorry about that, folks, back at home.
You can see them here all getting strung out there. The wind now is blowing in from the left, so they go down this way here before coming around into a headwind then for the finish. But you can see the echelon forming from left to right as Bontempi puts his arm up. Maybe he has a problem here, or maybe could be just calling for the yellow jerseys to come up nearer to him, because as you can see here, that all the Julius Ballant team are on the front, and the yellow jersey team is very far back. Yellow jersey himself is very far back, which there's no point. If yellow jersey is a problem, he would find a difficulty in letting his teammates know. So I'm sure Bontempi, being very, very experienced now, is actually looking for the yellow jersey, getting him to come forward, come a little further forward, so that if there is a split in the group, at least it's in the front half. As you can see here, from the bit of a crosswind, it has actually had an effect on the group, and it is splitting.
Leaders then, the gap is something like 35 seconds to Loda and Bauer, as we're getting now inside 20 kilometres to go. Main field streaming along here in hot pursuit of those two riders. 20 kilometres to go then, just around about 12 miles left of this race, and well, what a great move that was by Bauer and Lola to prize themselves off the front just after Yarman had got caught after being out there so long on his own. By the way, we talk about technology and new developments and what have you. I was intrigued to see that, in fact, we've now got the information about the Tour de France here in Braille, and that actually, I don't know if you saw it this morning on the Credit Lyonnais stand when I collected my information for this morning. But actually showed me the copy of all the information about the Tour de France, which is in Braille, and I've never seen Braille before. And there was a book all about the Tour de France, and many of the main sponsors have put up funds to make sure that this programme in Braille could be there. The Credit Lyonnais, the Supermarket Champion, the site of the Tour de France, and the Journal Equip have all put together to make this available, that one can have it. And they're going to have it, I think, in 5 editions at some time. All the information about the towns they go through, the stages, the difficulties and so on, the aspects of the competition, even Laurent Finot's written articles, it's all in Braille, all about about the Tour de France. Fantastic.
No, there's a fantastic progress in the Tour. It makes you ask yourself, where is it all going to stop? Actually, this morning I was talking to Andre Darrigade this morning. He's actually 62 years of age this morning. Darrigade was, of course, the champion of yesterday, before my time even. But
I remember
he was 62 years of age this morning in the village, and he was just talking about his Tour de France compared to this Tour de France, whereas he's now working for the Aprico company, and he was just giving out his opinion on years ago and today. He said, like, years ago the Tour de France, there was great atmosphere and everything else, and he thought it was fabulous. But now he would ask himself, what would it be like if he was to go back 40 years, back to the Tour de France when he was riding it? He said he forgets really what it was about so far back.
Well, certainly I remember watching Darrigade win a stage into the Parc de France, the finish of the Tour de France many years ago. There we are, the points classification, equal Cipollini and Abdul Jafarov. I said that Abdul Jafarov had managed to battle all day long with Cipollini. So the two of them have still got 84 points equal, so it'll all be down to the finish line here to decide who takes that green jersey after today's stage. And Darrigade, a great sprinter. In fact, Darrigade, he probably won't like me saying this, but he in fact, a man stepped out of the Parc de France. We saw those crashes yesterday. We see many crashes in the Tour de France, but one of the helpers stepped out. Darrigade hit him, and in fact the man went down, cracked his skull and died right in the Parc de France. Yep, that was an amazing piece of history. But just shows you the speed at which these riders are going, and if you get hit by somebody going 40 odd miles an hour, then terrible things can happen. But that was under Darrigade many years ago now, and that was another of those terrible black patches on the history of the Tour de France, which has lived since 1903. I mean, it's a tremendous race has gone on. You could write books and books, and people do write books and books about the history of this great race, the epic things that have gone on, the dramas that have happened in the Tour de France, and we could go on talking all day and all night from our memories and our books, which I know would entertain lots of people who love this great race. But right now we're concentrating on who's going to win this stage. Stephen, are you going to commit yourself?
Well, of course. Here we go. I think it's very easy to say Cipollini, but it's going to be between, as we know, it'll be Cipollini. Of course, Baldato and Nielsen are gone now, so it's not going to be either of them. Baldato and Nielsen are gone. There's our friend El Diablo. I stopped this morning and he gave me his card. He's actually a bike designer, would you believe?
He's a bike designer?
Bike designer. There's a small little card, his business card, it says on it, bike designer, and there's a dress on it.
I hope not as big as that one, because even I couldn't ride that one with my long legs.
Bikes are made to measure, maybe, you know. But I'd say, like, today is going to be, well, it's no genius to put together Cipollini, Jalabert, or Moncassin or Abdul Jafarov, those four being the four most prominent sprinters now left in the bunch. But of course the finish probably does benefit a lot the likes of Cipollini and Abdul Jafarov, but then there could be a surprise then from someone like Moncassin, who is riding in his own hometown. I see Francis Moreau here having a go in the front. He had a go yesterday in the final as well. He's a very good pursuer. He can go very fast for a long time. He's coming into home ground as well, him being from the north.
Well, all will be revealed, and the crowd now excitedly along the seafront. They're going to come whistling along this front, the riders, with the sea on their right-hand side. They're going to sort of swing round, a very tricky twisting in and out of Dunkirk, and not as bad as we've had the other days when there's been so many obstacles in the way. So this could be a nice clean fight, as they say, as my good friend Steve Holder, the boxing commentator for Eurosport, might say. Let's have a clean fight, lads, and I think we're going to have one today without the dramas that we've had in particularly yesterday and the day before. Here they go. Well, I hope you can hear us, by the way. Oops, it's a problem here for the Castorama rider, and off his bike he gets, and a quick wheel change coming up then. Yeah, it is. Jackie Duran who took the yellow jersey.
See how fast the wheel change is there.
That was quick, wasn't
straight
it?
on. That's a good wheel change.
So much trouble, haven't they? These lads from Castorama.
Yeah.
With
you saw how fast the wheel change was when he got off the bike. We saw yesterday, who was it? Adam Teparov.
Yeah, stayed on the bike.
Kept one foot on the bike. But you see how fast it can be if you just take it calm and do things right.
Yeah. I was saying as we saw Jackie Duran, that I hope you can hear Steve and myself. We've got our headphones on, our little microphones close to our mouths. If you hear some music in the background, for some reason or other, they delight in turning the amplification up flat out. Now, I like good music. They've been playing some Eric Clapton early on before we came on air. I loved every minute. But right now, I think everybody over the other side of the channel, just 22 miles away, probably in Dover, can hear the sound. Well, they turned it down. Thank goodness for that. I love loud music, but that was getting a bit much.
But the only thing is, Dave, when that music comes on, all we got to do is look down to the right and we see the pom-pom girls from Dallas doing their dance. So that's why sometimes our commentary goes a little bit astray.
You speak for yourself. I can't see that far.
I'm only consultant here, Dave. I'm only the co-commentator.
You check my pulse.
Yeah.
So there they are, swinging around these 177 rides it was left this morning. I've doubly checked that one for you. 177. We've lost at least 2 riders so far today. We're down to 175 of the 198 that started out from the start down there in the prologue time at Saint-Brieuc, and it really has broken up now. We've got a mixture of riders on the front as they're heading in towards Dunkirk, and this fantastic sprint finish. So with Loader and Bauer back in the main group, we've got 14 kilometres to go. The 2 riders who try to get away have been absorbed by this main pack now, and it's going to be all systems go for the sprint finish. Let's look at some of those colours there, so you can pick them out as well. The pinky colours of the Once team. Jalabert is back in pink now, having lost the yellow jersey yesterday when he came in 50 seconds down. Cameron, of course, has now moved way up into the sky, so we had some difficulty picking him up. But one jersey we have to look out for are the pink and white colours of Telecom, because Zabel, who've been sprinting very well indeed, a couple of stages in the Tour of Switzerland, and looks like it could be Skibby again. Always these blue, yellow and reddish colours of TVM are prepared to have a go towards the end. Skibby and Neidham are experts at going off in the final 10. Oh, crap, and Jackie Duran has come down.
Oh, it's back.
What a shame, he just punked it. He'd been riding so hard to get back and looks very badly hurt indeed. Here he goes. He cuts inside.
Look, that's the shore.
And he loses it, the bike, and then the
car
swerves.
And
no, he's missed him.
The car didn't hit him. He hit his back. His back
hit his back on
off the edge of the footpath.
Oh, that's very bad. Slammed his back against the curb.
Yeah.
Jackie Duran is down, the man who took that yellow jersey. The yellow jersey has got the kiss of death about it this year, hasn't it? Duran has gone down now. He had it. Yesterday we saw Jalabert delayed as well. And the man who's going after that yellow jersey on day one, who got it last year, Chris Bourman, he crashed out as well going for that yellow jersey. Somehow this year, Gotti got it yesterday, and he looked there absolutely flabbergasted. But I'm just wondering whether one or two people say, hang on, I think I'll wait a bit with this one. It doesn't seem to be a good luck token this year at all, and here they are riding 4 men away.
Brooking, is it? No, Brunel and
Berzin, that's amazing. Berzin has gone away with this one.
Then they won't ride.
Don't forget 20 seconds bonus for first, and then we have into second spot 12, and then 8 seconds after that. And Berzin has managed to prize himself away from this little lot, where we're looking back at the problems with the crash there of Duran. Now remember, Berzin, as an ex-amateur pursuit champion of the world, can go like stink when the time comes. So what a son of a look did he take out?
I can't really see it.
He won't go for the yellow against Gotti, surely.
Well, I suppose it's not really. He would probably ride through with them, but he knows himself there's no point, because I'm sure he's only in the front by fluke. And he won't ride himself because his teammate is in yellow. But at the same time, I'm sure he's having difficulty himself deciding, what do I do? Do I ride, or do I play the role of my teammate?
And so Jackie Duran, nursing his injured back then, is way off the back of the pack here. We have Murrow for the GAN team together with Berzin, and I'm not quite sure it is Skibby at the moment. It looked a bit too chunky for me. Let's hope we get
Skibby,
it. I think it's... Is it?
Oh, yes.
We have a terrible monitor screen here. Sorry if you feel back at home, but if I bought this in a local television company, I'd have gone and throttled them or banged it on their heads. We sometimes have this bad problem.
It's very like Stevie, though.
I've got my black shirt on today so I can actually try and see a bit better when it reflects.
Berzin has found himself in a very, very difficult situation because
they're coming back,
if he riots, if Berzin riots, his team, he already isn't on very good terms with the rest of his team. So if Berzin riots, his team will say, well, you see, you're only an individualist. But by not rioting, he might be able to gain a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of respect from his team by doing this. Because even though he has the possibility of winning the tour, if he rides the boys here today, he could gain time. But at the same time, we've seen Indurain here coming up the back here. He's very quick to react. But
Indurain is there too, a little white pig cap on, so he's keeping out of trouble. Maybe Berzin might be keeping it to keep out of trouble with these crashes, because there's only one place to be, that's near the front, isn't it? Well, yesterday, 12th back, even then they got hammered, didn't they?
That's it, but he's defending, you see he's defending for the jersey for his teammate. I see here the problems here, these islands in the middle of the road here.
Oh, that's a funny one. There was a sharp, and they're going from both sides, aren't they?
Yeah. I think at the moment they're trying to force the riders around certain corners, which I call artificial corners, by putting out barriers. Whereas if all those barriers were out of the way, the riders would take a natural line through. I see Indurain here in second place. He's definitely trying to keep out of trouble.
Sensible chap, though, isn't he? To try and make sure you keep a good eye out what's going on ahead. But I can tell all your riders out there, if you could hear me, but they can't. But in any case, that was the worst corner I saw. They just come around now. I don't think it's as bad as that one.
There's an S coming at the finish with 2 kilometres to go to the Ness. Coming out of a big wide road into a small S, but around by the buildings. But at that stage, they'll be all in one line anyway.
So coming towards Dunkirk, where in 1960, near Dunkirk, Federico Berhamontes, winner of the 1959 Tour de France, abandoned on the second stage. He'd been pressurised into riding. He didn't have the heart for it, and he climbed off. So that was in 1960 when the Tour came here. So certainly Dunkirk has seen a lot of action in the past, and it now looks like we can have a big sprint finish. And we hope you'll stick with us on Eurosport to see who gets the big stage victory today. Looking at the long string of riders here, it's certainly going to be one that the sprinters will enjoy. Let's hope they all stay upright and in one piece. My money still is on the Lion King himself, and he is wearing the green jersey. We haven't seen much of him at all so far, have we, Stephen? Cipollini seems to have so far just opted out for some reason. He plays a very great waiting game, and sometimes perhaps he might wait too long. I don't know.
You see that the Benestas now riding a winter, and they just want to keep him out of trouble. They know Dunkirk's a very fast finish. The wind's going to be changing because they're going to be going through built-up areas where the wind will change from left to right to the front. So they're trying to keep them apart. As you see,
Bono again
having a go,
he's determined, isn't he, to spread this a lot. But look how quickly he's been marked out then as the Polti rider, because Lombardi himself, who got delayed last year in that crash, or yesterday in that crash, is determined now to try and be in a good position again on these Spinergy wheels, which I have to say and repeat that I know the Spinergy people listening to our commentary the other day, they were originally banned by the commentary on the Tour de France, but they've been allowed back in again. Another crash has come up here. Oh, and that is awful. What a great disappointment. The Castoramas are having an absolute terrible day. They've gone down again. Jackie Durand hurt his back. They were fighting their way back in again, and they've gone down again. This is high-speed crashing. It has not a lot to do with the conditions of the road.
De las Cuevas.
Yeah, so De las Cuevas of all people, and Terry Laurent, I think, is also in that little group as well. And we're back with the head of the course as they're coming down like ninepins. Well, I should think we ought to X-certificate race our television coverage at the moment. There's so much blood and guts all over the place right now.
Blood and guts there, don't exaggerate.
Well, it's bad though, isn't it? I mean, I don't think I've seen a year like this now. Every time we've got crashes, they're phenomenal ones, at great rates of knots as well.
Capucci's having a go.
Well, you said he wasn't too well.
No, he hasn't been too well the last few days, but I know Capucci's having a go now. I think it means in itself that he isn't too sure of himself. What he's actually trying to do is trying to find confidence in his legs again and his own condition, because going to the mountains, he hasn't done very much so far this year, so he's a little bit unsure of his condition. He had a reasonably good Giro, but since then hasn't been able to get it together. We see Indurain marking him out here in third place.
And Van der Aarden on the right-hand side starts to dive away as well. Van der Aarden trying to go for a long one.
He ran on his wheel straight away though.
Oh, look at that, as Indurain recognised he's got to stick with some of these fast-moving men. The last time we were in Dunkirk, 1966, Gerben Carstens got the stage that time. The previous year we were here with 1960 when Priva got that stage. Vaulting in 1958, and those are the only three we've had since the war in Dunkirk. We've had 16 stage finishes in here in Dunkirk. The first one was way back in 1911 when Garrigou won. 1912, Troupelin won that one. 1913, Buis won. 1914, Faber. And after the war, Lambert won in 1919. Who's going to get the stage victory? As Indurain is going away a little bit off the front, I think, just to keep out of the problems we've got with 6 kilometres to go. And at the back then, the Castorama team will be desperately trying to marshal their forces to get back in this main pack and be credited with equal times, particularly as far as De Las Cuevas is concerned. Indurain is doing an amazing ride here on the front.
Well, he's riding on the front, Dave. He's trying to keep me out of trouble. He's afraid of himself. He's so afraid, he told me yesterday, he's so afraid of falling off that he reckons he uses less energy riding on the front than he would being worried about riding in the wheels. You see Gianni Bugno here up as well, so to see these two boys up riding in the front and Rominger not too far away, it certainly highlights that the fear of the top riders now falling off. I just said to yourself, Dave, all the blood and guts and the crashes we've had so far since the start of the tour frightens the life out of everybody.
Bugno on the front, he's a man who's also got a tremendous sprint. He's been twice world champion, and I particularly remember that one in Spain on that uphill sprint finish. He just left everybody for dead. Jalabert was that couldn't hold on to his wheel. Jalabert may well be looking for a chance to gain some time today. He is in the pink jersey of the Onsay team, but they swing sharp round yet another bend. And yes, left and right. That's the one I think you were talking about,
There's
Stephen.
one more after this, Dave. But about 2 kilometres to finish. 5 kilometres to go there now. 5.5 kilometres to go.
And it has opened up quite a gap here. The speed that Indurain has gone through there, and Bugno has really split this lot, hasn't it? And at the back then, we're picking up the riders who got dropped off, all those Castorama riders who went back for Girona, and then De Las Cuevas. It's not been a good day for Castorama at all. A helicopter picking up the top shots here. Indurain, who's really put on the power, and looks like Zabel is still in there. That pinky coloured jersey of the Telecom rider is still there. Van der Aarden is flying around the front. That could be Lombardi there in the yellow as well. And so
Van der Aarden, no, Ludwig.
Is it Ludwig? Yes, it is.
Yeah,
it's not Zabel, it's Ludwig. You're right.
Chandri.
And Chandri's there. Whoa, we're near to Dover. Come on, go, you Brits on the other side. Shout for Chandri. And that is Van der Aarden trying very hard indeed. And looks like one of the riders of Mercatone Uno has also made it across there at the moment to try and join up with that one. Well, this is a strange... Oh, there's Van der Aarden going again, the devil!
He's having a super tour.
We've seen him in action so strong recently. I say he won a stage recently in the Tour of Luxembourg. That surprised a lot of people who'd written him off. And he's going away again. This is our ideal thing. You know, these Belgians and the Dutch riders, they know how to ride flat out on the flat. And a lot of Belgians have come over here, or come down here, in fact, because the difference between northern France and Belgium is very difficult to discern. That although they speak French here, the countryside is very similar indeed. A lot of Belgians come down here and they'd love a victory of Eric Van der Aarden, who's had the green jersey in the past in the Tour de France and a winner of the final stage in the Champs-Élysées as well. Van der Aarden still trying hard on the front.
But still on it, Dave, for the last kilometre and a half, the wind comes into his face. It's a very big road, so he must get a reasonable gap for us to be joined by somebody else to make this lone break the possibility of winning come true, because the group has to know behind with Abdul Jafarov, with Cipollini, with Jalabert are going to be coming around the final kilometres very, very fast, whereas still 4.5 kilometres to go and the last 2 kilometres into a headwind, so he must get over a reasonable gap before he'll have any chance of winning the stage.
And look at the speed they're coming up now. One man who to me always has got an enormous cool is Cipollini, isn't it? You don't see him at all until we get that final kilometre. He's in the green jersey, he's got equal points with Abdul Jafarov, so between the two of them they're going to settle their differences. They've got 3 kilometres to go now toward the finish. Or is that 2? I can't see jumping up and down.
3 to go, Dave.
Unfortunately then he's blown a gasket, so Van der Aarden goes back into that little group now, and we're trying to look back down there. Abdul Jafarov wears the Nobel colours of the white with the red and black. The green jersey is Cipollini. That is Bugno. There he goes. Jalabert goes across. He's obviously marked him.
I think Jalabert, though.
Yeah.
I think Jalabert is the guy in the bunch, I think.
And again, the Telecom moving up. Both Ludwig and Zabel, seasoned sprinters indeed. Ludwig winning something like a 36th stage of the Peace Race, ex-green jersey holder in the Tour de France. He's really looking after his young up-and-coming man, Zabel, and they're all a bit nervous about this one, aren't they?
Neil Stevens on the front.
Yeah.
For the own team, I think.
He's sent off
Indurain second, Indurain third place.
Yeah.
Indurain third place. Serbia isn't getting much wind shelter from behind these two guys. It looks like Ikimov. Is it behind second place?
Yeah, Fecamp would be the lead-out man for Abdi wouldn't he?
Yeah.
No, that's Telecom rather. Ludwig, who's just behind them there, and there they swing round again. Let's keep your fingers crossed they all get round safe, and those on our picture have done just that.
That's what I was talking about.
Clipping the edge of the barriers, and they see the menacing colours of the Polti team coming through, setting it up for Lombardi. On the front still, Stevens going flat out. So is
Cipollini there, the yellow hat behind Cipollini. Yellow greenish hat, Cipollini behind there. So he's not far from the front.
That's cool, isn't it? Just stay in there, not get
he's so fast, Dave.
Yeah, he's quick, and we're on the seafront now.
That's Skibby looking around him there. Maybe thinking about going for a long one.
Oh, it's into the wind now, isn't it? This is very difficult. See how it's suddenly slowing down. They've realised they're going into the wind, and the sprinters will be still behind their lead-out men, looking for the opportunity to launch their attack for this victory here at Dunkirk. And I say, not since Gerben Carstens came here in 1966, so we've been here on the Tour de France a long time back. It's the 5th day of the Tour de France. They've covered 261 kilometres a day. They've got 1 kilometre to go. The lead-out men are pulling over and getting out of the way and leaving it down to the fast-moving sprinters. Rutikov is leading out. Lombardi looks back, but Lombardi's not with him. Lombardi's on his own, wedged in the middle of this group then. Rutikov, and then Lombardi on the far side starts to come through and look for his lead-out man yet again. Can Lombardi get this one like he did in the finish in Milan when he got the final stage of the Tour of Italy? And still then, a good move for Cipollini to be fourth back for this one. Lombardi is a very fast sprinter indeed. He's still there up the front with his lead-out man going like Sting, and Cipollini launched himself across the other side, and they all jump for his wheel then. And no, it's not going to be, and it's Museo who's trying to go now. Museo on the front, and Cipollini is way out of it. He's not with it now then, and still as Museo tries to go for this one, and Abdul-Jabbar on the left-hand side rocks his bike, left-hand front, left turn, run, then Abdul-Jabbar comes to front again. He's forcing his way all over the place, but Abdul-Jabbar Serrada comes at him, but it's not going to be. It's going to go to TVM, and on the line there it goes to, I think it's he's absolutely amazed about that when he threw his arms up in the air, and I was surprised too. It went to Bellevans of TVM. I ought to have thought about him before. He started the season very well indeed. This young amateur only switched in the TVM ranks at the beginning part of this year, and Blylands from TVM took that one. He came from nowhere. He could not believe it, and that has ruined my prognostications too. I should have thought about that fellow. It's in a typical territory of the Dutch, of the Belgians, and Blylands got that one, rocking it across the line. That surprised everybody. He just burst through that pack. That was brilliant.
There was some turn of speed coming there. Like the finish today would have suited Cipollini down to the ground, and then with the headwind would have suited also Abdul-Jabbar. So if you see him here in the left hand, in the middle of your screen here, he's just dying off. But Ballinger, how do you say his name again, Dave? Billen Evans. No, Vigevans.
It's B-L-I-J-L-I-E-V-N-S, Blyevans. It's here in my own typewritten hand. He won the first stage of the Ruta del Sol right at the early part of the season. He won stage 3 of the Tour of Mallorca. He'd been going very well indeed at the early part of the year, and he took that one there. Look at that. Brilliant ride by him, and I would think that probably Zabel might have got second spot. We'll watch it here. There, Bellevans gets it. That could be... That's Serrada and Zabel this side, and Abdul-Jabbar over on the far side. We'll wait for visual confirmation of that one.
Cipollini is 5th.
No, it's Moncassin, sorry.
Moncassin is 4th, yeah.
That's right, Moncassin. Here we go. There's Blyevans.
Yeah.
Takes it on the line. Serrada, I think it was, will wait for that going into the second spot.
He looks happy, Dave, doesn't he?
I should think, wouldn't you be? A young lad just coming into this game. He's even got past Cipollini. Here's Abdul-Jabbar in the centre trying to go for it. And the pink jersey for the Lampre rider forcing his way. Moncasino on the far side. And look at the speed of the TVM rider. Lyle Evans going to the line, taking stage 5 in the Tour de France for TVM. the look of sheer delight on the face of Blyleven's, who's got that stage victory. Let's look at it from the top then, and to see how he won it. Look there for the yellow jersey at the top of this little group of riders here, as Cipollini with the yellowish crash hat is beginning to flag. He's trying to stay with Abdul Jafarov. The pink and purple colour of the Lamprey rider is looking for a way to go. He switches outside Abdul Jafarov. The purpley hat here of Zabel stays with Cipollini, thinks he's the man to go for. The white jersey at the top starts to move forward. The Nobel rider, Moncassin, who comes from this neck of the woods, flicks off the wheel of the Lamprey rider. Blyleven's gets it on the line. Lamprey rider, I think is Ferrari, gets it into second spot. Third could be Zabel, and fourth could be Moncassin. Probably fifth was Cipollini, and one of the Chazelle riders came through just towards the very end of that one. And here, look, they're still coming in at the back. This is the result of that crash. This is going to be a very disappointing day, isn't it?
Yeah, for the Castellanos. Yesterday there was two of them behind because Simon was sick. Now there's two behind because Jackie Giron fell off twice. And I'm sure the second crash he had looked very spectacular. I'm sure he's in some pain now from his backside at this moment, but the fact that they had the pedal means that there's nothing broken anyway, we hope. And hopefully a good night's rest now. Won't see him better for tomorrow, but at least he may not be in so much pain tomorrow. It's a very terrible pity because Jackie Giron was in his own territory tomorrow, and on Sunday into Liège he would have done it, or on Saturday into Liège he would have been a Castelrama man capable of getting up there. So it's very unfortunate. We'll see again the crasher. Watch the black shore here. The shore. Watch the little round medallion here. The shore hits the shore. He slips a little bit onto the white band. Down he goes. Slips across here. The car doesn't actually hit him, or does it very slightly, but his back hits the very corner of the footpath, which I know he must have been going. He was going reasonably fast, so he's very, very, very lucky not to have broken something there, because it was I'm sure it's very, very painful if you can imagine yourself hitting your back off the pavement, the corner of the pavement. As you see the sprinter again, once again in slow motion. There's no doubt about it. It was the same winner, same second place, same third place, same fourth place.
Well, he's only got about 24 years of age in December this year. He's still quite just 24 now, a very young rider indeed, but he really has got that gift that certain people had there. It was Ferrado, I thought, in second spot, so I got second and third. Blyleven, I ought to have thought about him. Then Moncassin fourth, Cipollini fifth, as we saw it there. 5 hours, 51 minutes and 46 seconds. Cursipew from the Chazelle team, a good ride by him into sixth spot at Dunkirk, but Blyleven's the winner.
So destination Dunkirk, almost 6 hours in the saddle. Painful, well, more painful for some than others. There were a few spills on the day, a few breaks as well. None of the bone kind, escapes that is. Steve Bauer and Nikolai Loda it was that made the most impressive, but in the end it came down to a sprint finish. Blyleven's, the Dutchman of the TVM team, his 8th win this year, second year as a pro, and indeed he spared us a few moments of his time after the victory.
Those last 2 kilometres looked very fast indeed. Whose wheel did you follow?
First team was working for me, and the last kilometer was in the wheel from Abdul Jafarov, and he was in the 6th, 7th place, and I was sitting in his wheel, and at 200 meters for the finish, he goes in he's making a sprint, and then 200 meters for the finish, I think it's my moment, and then I was gone.
Were you at all nervous after the crashes we've been having recently, coming into the finish?
Yeah, it's very nervous, the finals, and the riding very hard, and there were a lot of questions all the week, but yeah, it's live.
How many races have you now won as a professional?
It's mine, this year is mine 8th victory, and last year I won 3 victories.
It must be your greatest victory so far, but just a thought about your teammate, Henry Redans. How about him?
Yeah, he's operating last night on his tooth. It's broken, but the rest he has a lot of scratches, and but it's going well with him.
Well, I'm sure he'll enjoy your victory as much as we've done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations indeed. A great ride from Blyleven's. Well, tomorrow they're heading into Belgium. Destination Charleroi, 191 kilometres in all. Cipollini maintaining his lead for the climbs And of course, points leader at the moment, Jalabert. Leader overall, Ivan Gotti, just a second ahead of Rees, the Dane. The yellow jersey preserved well by a hard-working Gewis team today. They'll be doing just the same tomorrow, stage 6. And don't forget, you can keep in touch with it live as usual here on Eurosport News. It's always the same story. Nobody covers the tour better than we do.